Welcome to another episode of Marriott's Chariots. In this episode, we're going to focus on the Ford RS200 that we have here.
200, yeah, he's in a state. Broken glass, looks like he's missing what would have been the front spotlights. Wing mirrors gone, quite filthy. Top spoiler also missing. Tires, yes, all four of these cars, all the tires are shot, rock hard, no grip. Thankfully, motors are working, cogs are turning, so the rear axle is spinning. Yeah, contacts are missing on this one, so there's going to be quite a lot to do. Also missing the rubber bands for the four-wheel drive that would have gone between the back wheel there and the front one. Can actually put a double band on from that wheel to that one if that was the correct wheel. It's not the right wheel or tire, slightly different, so we'll do our best to replace all these bits. Right, welcome back. Sit rep so far is cars have been completely stripped, all the body parts gently scrubbed in sort of warm soapy water and then rinsed, all except the electric motors, of course. I'll strip those and have a go at sorting those out later. And then we've just put all the parts in various boxes for now. The RS200, thanks to Sandback slot cars, we've got some new tires, set of wheels, and the four-wheel drive bands have arrived. So thanks to Sandback, we'll get those on as soon as we've got the car ready. What's proving to be a bit challenging on the RS200 is the glassware is very brittle. There wasn't much of it left. I can do the passenger side window, sort of glue it back together with a bit of this clear contact adhesive. That should work. Driver side didn't have any glass left. Could have left it as if he's got the window open. But what I've done is I've got some of this sort of packaging. It's a similar sort of smoky color to the original glass, very similar thickness as well. So I've just been messing around, cutting a bit out that's hopefully going to fit in the driver side section here to match up with what was left of the passenger side. And then, yeah, I'll probably just glue it in situ, just on the inside edge of the car frame. That will hopefully work. What will be more challenging is the windscreen. So I've just taken a template of the gap. The front bit here is actually, this bit here is not as big as the full glass because obviously the glass sits behind the grille, which is on the bonnet. So yeah, we're going to just do our best to cut this glass to that template, and then same again, perhaps just glue it carefully just on the inside of this frame here, and we'll see how that turns out. Speak to you later. Okay, quick update. After several attempts at cutting a windscreen and trimming it to fit, we eventually have got one in. It's not a bad finish, it'll do us just fine. The side window glasses I gave up on, they just kept shattering and not fitting, so we've ended up with half open windows for co-driver and driver. I suspect one of them had beans for breakfast, so they've got their windows half opened. So the only original piece we've kept is the rear glass. We've trimmed all the other bits off, kept the original bit on the back, which seems to all fit well. Basically the glasses, well, the plastic replacing the glass has just been hot glued in places. So the windscreen's just got a bit of hot glue in the top, just holding it in. Right, next job, get on with the motor and start assembling it. So with the RS200, we've put the tires, wheels on. We've put the two bands on for the four-wheel drive effect. So that seems to be working all right. I've managed to find a packet for the RS200 accessories, so the Scalextric parts, front fog lights, the top spoiler, wing mirrors, and wiper and aerial. That's all one of these packets of parts. It's actually made for the modern, the more recent model that they produced of the RS200. This is the old model, so these won't fit exactly the same. You can see the fittings are different. This one, the fittings there, the holes are in slightly different places. So these are going to get painted up to probably, well, black is what they were originally. So I'll get them painted, and then using these very fine hand twist drill bits, we will redo a couple of holes for these new parts. Put a couple of holes in the top for the top spoiler, and I think the holes for the front spots will be right in the front. Hopefully we'll get them in the right place so they sit perfectly. And yeah, we got other little body parts to put on, so yeah, we'll put the respective tiny holes in for the wipers and the aerial in the roof. Right, so far so good. The rear spoiler on, aerial, and the front spots. So you can see where we've carefully drilled tiny holes so the lugs can go in front and back. I'm going to put a bit of glue on the inside just to hold the rear windscreen in and hold all those parts on. I really recommend these small handheld twist drill bits. They come in a nice assortment of sizes, so you can get the holes exactly the right size, and where necessary you can use one of these with, again, slightly bigger drill bits. Put that in, just gives you a lot more precision on dealing with it. Right, we shall continue, and the next job will probably paint these two parts black and put it all back together again.
So we've painted the part of the front fog lights, and the roof spoiler is black and glued in place, and we've used our soldering iron and flux to get the wiring connected inside, and we'll chat about that in a moment. Scalextric's car restoration supplied a light and the wiring for the guide plate. The bulb light connects in one side to wires that go to the motor. They just push fit into there. The bulb is in the middle, and that shines the light through to the rest of the mold, and the other connections on the other side. The wiring then goes to the soldered straight to the motor, and you can see the guide plate with wires already fitted with brushes. Came from Scalextric's car restorations, and those wires are fed through. Try and avoid getting messed up on the front axle. There's a couple of pegs that you can wrap them around, but otherwise just soldered straight to the motor. There is spacers on the inside the wheels, which you can turn, swap them around a bit just to get the wheels in the right place. You can do that front and back. And then on the rear we've got the metal pinion gear connecting up to the plastic crown. Right, I've noticed the motor shaft looks like it's touching the shoulder of the moulding of the crown gear, so perhaps another spacer in the motor is required to sort that one out, but right, otherwise it's running again. Well. Just another quick look at this RS200. Oh, by the way, these Ferrero Rocher chocolate boxes are quite good as Scalextric cases for some of the smaller dimension cars anyway. So yeah, the car looks good. The car is running well. I'm very pleased with it. It sits on the track very well, looks the part, and as I say, it seems to handle well, and I'm happy with it. But I just want to cover a couple of niggles.
the one thing I've noticed is you can see how the body is only just clearing this rear wheel here. So it just feels like the whole chassis needs to sit back and the body sit forward, so somewhere back there. The mounting screw, it does line up in with the peg inside, and even with it out, it doesn't make any difference. The body still just sits just clear of the thing, and I don't think that's quite right. So I was wondering what might be going wrong inside. So with the screw out, I mean, we could always just leave the screw out and just rely on the clips of the body holding it together. Some people prefer the body to be slightly loose on the chassis anyway. It might handle better. Anyway, trying to get to the root of that issue. The chassis is very flexible, as you can see, but I don't think that's the cause either. And yeah, I did wonder about maybe the bands are putting too much pressure on it, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, in the maybe originally this one had rear lights fitted as well, and perhaps with the panel that the lights are on, perhaps that would cause the body to sit to be pushed further that way. But it doesn't seem right again. But what I have sort of come to the conclusion, I was looking at this peg down here, well, the recess where this peg fits, and actually after doing a few laps, I can see there's some marking on this peg, which to me suggests that this peg is pushing up against the front axle. The front axle is right next to the recess down here. So I'm wondering if that peg, as you can see there, is being pushed back. It can't sort of sit as far forward as it should, and there's play in there for it to be able to move. So I'm wondering, in a former life, which might explain why all the glass was broken, I reckon in a former life this car probably had a giant foot pushed on it, and it's caused this peg, and it's probably hard to detect, but I reckon this body's been probably slightly bent and caused the peg to go out of alignment as well. So now it's sitting in a position where the peg is causing the whole body to push back a bit, whereas we want it to go the other way. So thoughts, well, we could try and take it apart and treat the yellow body to a bit of heat treatment, dip it in hot water and then just gently, I mean, it's all very soft plastic, this, in a way, so perhaps we could gently bend it the other way, or just do that with the peg, heat it up and just bend it back a bit. Maybe that's the simplest, and hope that the screw hole still aligns, but maybe just by having the peg out the way, the body will sit forward and stop the body from being up close on the tire, as it were. Other thoughts was putting sort of spacers, like little blocks or something in places to force it, to force the body to sit a little bit further forward. But yeah, let's, I mean, on the whole, I might not do anything to it because I'm happy that it's running, but I think I might have a go at just moving this peg a bit, or, I mean, some people might just say, we'll just take the peg out altogether, or perhaps we just trim the peg back. But anyway, it was just a little niggle that I would like to see the body sit more, so it's clear of the rear axle. And I did mention before that that's where the shaft of the motor looks like it's rubbing. You can sort of see, you can detect where it's marking that the sort of plastic boss of the gearing there. So alternatives were put a spacer in here, quite a pain to do all that again, or if we're very careful, perhaps we just take a little bit off, like a mil or half a mil off the end of the shaft. without damaging the motor, of course. So that was just a couple of little thoughts. There's a potential for the bands to possibly rub on the edge of some of the chassis, but maybe that's just can be corrected by sorting out the spacing of the axles. But then there's so much play in it, and the motor's a strong motor that doesn't really affect it, I wouldn't have thought. Not for my purposes anyway. But yeah, those are just small little areas. The light is really bright and good. Could put some taping over the rest of the clear molding, just to stop any light sort of projecting through the rest of the car body. That way you just keep the front lights clear and block off light being reflected out of the rest of it. Might make it look better as well. Anyway, those are my last thoughts, I think, on that one. But otherwise, very happy with it. We'll pop it back together. Perhaps I'll have a fiddle with that peg, just to get the body to try and sit more centrally. But I don't really want to cause irreversible damage, so I was a bit nervous to do that. But perhaps we'll go ahead. It's already, for my purposes, it's gone a bit over budget, shall we say, for what we've spent and time spent on doing this car, but it's been worth it in the end. Thanks again.
Okay, we've taken it apart again. If you remember, I was concerned about what I thought was the end of the shaft rubbing on the boss in the crown gear here. As it turns out, the pinion gear is shaped like that, so the shaft actually goes all the way down and into this hollow recess here. So this bit sticking out wasn't the shaft itself, but part of the pinion gear. Yes, I was just concerned that it might be rubbing on there, just causing unnecessary friction. So yeah, could still take that little bit off, but or I suppose it might be easier just to take this down a bit here. Or alternatively, I was concerned that maybe the magnets were in the wrong place, but anyway, I've had another look. The magnets can't go back any further because the of these recesses here, they stop the magnet going in too far. So either way, the armature was being forced to push down towards the rear axle more than I thought it should, really. Anyway, the other thought I'll do is probably just put an extra washer in here, and that should keep this whole armature and everything back a little bit. So I'm going to do that, put a washer in the space here, put it all back together, and hopefully there'll be a bit of clearance then between the end of the pinion gear and the boss of the crown there.
Okay, so the idea of putting that spacer or washer on the armature didn't really work, although we moved the whole armature away from the rear axle, so it wasn't touching there. All we did was cause friction in the motor. So we moved a potential friction point from the axle into the motor. So the motor ran hot and not very well. So we backtracked on that, and we just thought, lesser of two evils, we'll leave it how it possibly was originally. So so that spacer came back out. The motor has that quite excessive end float on the shaft, which possibly causes it touching on the boss of the rear axle, but the car runs well like that, so I'm going to just leave it. The other thing done was getting the body to sit better. Do you remember it was pretty much almost touching the tyre, this bodywork here? So we've managed to get the body to sit where we want it without lots of end play and float on there. I suspect the car probably had got squashed at some stage, which would explain why the windscreen was smashed and possibly why the body wasn't fitting too well. The front peg, where the mounting screw here is, I did treat it with hot water and just bend it back a bit so that it doesn't touch the front axle. That worked, but I also shaved a bit off the front so that it's well clear of the front axle now, so that the axle doesn't touch the peg that the mounting screw goes in, but it still had the quite a bit of excessive float and of the body, which meant the body and the wheel was almost touching. So the next job we did is I noticed there was two little lugs on the side. It didn't have these screws here, I've put those in, but there was two lugs, but of course because the body was out of shape, the lugs weren't locating, so I think the lugs would have stopped that float. Anyway, so what I've done is inside the body I've put a lump of hot glue, let that set hard, and then just shaved the glue off so that the body can sit nicely, and then drilled a tiny hole out and put these two mounting screws in. So it's now got additional body mounting screws just to hold the body better in place. And yeah, it's running well, so I'm generally happy with it, and I think I've had my fill of this car. It's yes, it was rescued from probably the trash. Yeah, it's been a challenge doing the windscreen. I'm quite happy that it's got open side door windows now, so it's sort of bespoke, something a bit different. Very happy with the additional detailing of the modern accessory, you know, the wipers, wing mirrors, aerial, and the top air intake, and the front lights. So that also has added to it, slightly different than how it would have looked originally. So I'm happy with that. It runs fine, I'm happy with that. The four-wheel drive works well. I've tried it as two-wheel drive. You just take these bands off, take them off, and you just get a normal two-wheel drive. But yeah, it seems to handle better as a four-wheel drive. Not the fastest car on the track, but still quite a nice car to drive, and it is obviously quite dated now. The light works well. They're really bright, but I'll probably put some black tape over the lens inside just to stop light shining through the bonnet. But yeah, it still looks very impressive as it's coming down the track. So that'll do for that one, and I think we'll pack him away. We'll start on the next project. Thanks again.